Dusty Slay is in the house. You're a fun person to have in the house, actually.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about dogs because my dog was like attacking you. Well, not really. She just sounds like an attack dog.
Well, yeah, I was just sitting in the truck and the dog came up and I felt like I was back to delivering pizzas again where I'm calling. I go, hey, your dog's out here. Come get your pizza.
Because honestly, we had this experience with a FedEx driver and a FedEx driver, delivery men, all of them. Like, I understand the thing with dogs because Sugar, my dog, ran with her full fangs, mouth, ferocious bark. Sounds like she's going to kill you. The FedEx driver, I have never seen anyone do this in my life, hauled ass, like was flying, almost floating on the air, jumped on the back of his tail, of his like bumper, and like climbed up it because it's true. Like, I know my dog's not going to bite you, but like you really are in harm's way all the time.
He doesn't know. And if you come out and the FedEx driver's out there kicking your dog, you're going to be like, what's going on here, buddy?
It's a tough situation.
Why are you abusing my dog? But he's like, well, your dog was trying to bite me. And you're like, Sugar? Sugar wouldn't bite anyone. Right?
Have you been bit?
I don't think I've been bit. I mean, not as an adult.
You like blacked out? You can't remember?
Well, I did used to drink a lot, so who knows? But dogs, I don't know. They're just, people, I don't think people really understand their dogs these days.
Okay, tell me why you say that.
I'll tell you a story.
Tell me a story.
If you want to hear it.
I want to hear a story.
It's pretty horrific, though.
Is it about you?
It's not about me, but I got a relative. It's his stepmom.
I'm going to have you put this up close to your mouth.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a little old school back here. Let's hear you.
It's pretty horrific, the story, though. I don't know if you want to hear it.
Did somebody die?
Yeah.
Like a kid?
No, not a kid.
Okay, thank God.
I like telling the story, though.
Well, then let's hear it, Dusty.
It's pretty horrific, though. I don't want to say who, but a relative, his stepmom, lived next to these people that had these Cane Corso dogs. They're like, you would have to look up a picture of these dogs. They're huge dogs. And this guy had two of them, and he was out of town. He had his mom house sitting. So my relative's stepmom goes over to their house to see the mom and goes to give her a hug. The dogs get out of the cage and attack this woman and kill this woman. And her husband had to come over and shoot the dogs.
After his wife had died?
Well, she wasn't dead yet, to get them off of her. And then she went to the hospital and she died in the hospital. It happened in Alabama. You can look up the story. It's out there. It's horrific. But I'm just saying, people like the Cane Corso is probably great with the owner, right? They're best friends, the sweetest dogs, I bet. But they're just so strong that if they do attack, there's like nothing you can do. I don't know if this is the best way to start the podcast. Maybe you edit it, add this in towards the middle or end. Because I'm a comedian and I've come in with like just the most horrific story with no jokes in there. I'm just like,
do you feel pressure to always tell a joke?
It's like, I don't feel the pressure. I'm actually pretty serious, I think.
You are?
I think so. I think my voice helps me sound funny.
Is that your real voice, or have you worked on this voice?
No, this is my voice. I mean, I smoked for a long time, so it might have added some rasp.
It's a great voice, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And, me and my wife, we dated long distance for a little while. She's from Canada, so while she was working on a visa, so she always says that this voice kept that relationship going because we would talk on the phone a lot.
It's a good voice for a phone voice, right?
I think so.
Have you used it for other things on the phone?
I don't think so. I'm not really into. I don't know.
You're a traditional dude.
Yeah,
I like that about you, Dusty.
I mean, I could text some stuff, I think, but I don't. I'm not much. I could be more of a dirty texter than a dirty talker. You know
okay.
what I mean?
It's easier to text than talk, isn't it?
I think so.
I think it's way easier to text.
I think there are a lot of dudes like that. Sadly, that they've only done online dating.
Yeah.
So they're really good texters, and then when they meet up with the girl, they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
I had to grow up in an era where you had to talk to people.
I know. I was awful at it. I would ignore everyone. I was mean. My talking was being mean back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you did that, but if you wanted to talk to someone, I'm going to be an extra big dick to you.
No, I did. I do know that's a thing that women do.
It's a protective mechanism.
And I wish I knew that back then because I'm like, there were probably a lot of opportunities for me.
But you thought they hated you.
Yeah, I missed out.
I know. But really, the test is you're supposed to push through.
I know.
You're supposed to show them you don't care that they're a raging bitch.
I know. I know. You are supposed to. But I didn't know back then. I had a lot of growing up to do.
I know. If we only knew now what we knew then, right?
I know. I was weak with it as a kid. I had to learn things.
Were you
grow up?
Were you good at dating?
I think I became a good dater.
Oh, okay. How did you become one?
Well, I actually worked with this guy. He was an older guy.
He taught you everything?
I think so, yeah.
You have lessons?
He was an older guy. He was like in late 60s, and he used to play in the NFL. He played for the Buffalo Bills like way back.
Okay. So he had he had game for sure.
And he looked like Billy Graham a little bit.
Okay.
You know? He had a big chin, like slick back, kind of gray hair.
Okay.
And we would just, we would do a little work, and then we would go sit in his truck, and he would chain smoke cigarettes.
You love smoking and being around people that smoke.
Yeah.
It makes you feel safe.
Yeah. And
yeah.
he would just talk to me about,
what would he say? Give you some insight.
Well, he would just ask me things about what was going on in my life. And I was forced to have a conversation with a one-on-one conversation with a grown man that intimidated me.
Okay. So when you would talk to him about your dating life, what would he say? What was his pieces of advice?
I think he was just almost disgusted at my, the tactics of the day, just things like, you meet someone and then you wait a couple of days to call, and then you just all this beating around the bush.
It takes forever, draws it out. And really, so what is he saying? Just get right to it?
He was but yeah, be more direct. Just be direct about what you want. And if they're not into it, just move on.
I know. But when you find the one that you think is so cool, especially in a small town, it's who do you move on to?
Well, that's right. But I was, I had moved. I was living in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
So there was...
you had a bigger pond.
Yeah, there was more... But yeah, when you're in a small town, it's kind of the dating is I've been knowing you since I was a kid. Let's hang out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know how to date because I was just hey, come over to the party.
And then would you just kind of friend zone it, or would you put your arm on?
This was my move.
Okay, let's hear it.
If they were at my house and they were sitting over there, I go, why are you sitting way over there? And then if they moved, then you go, okay.
What if they didn't move?
Well, then
you were supposed to pursue.
I know,
pursue.
But it was the move worked more often than you would.
So
think.
you weren't laid back guy about it. You weren't pressing forward.
Well, I guess outwardly I was laid back.
Right.
Internally, there's probably a lot going on.
I know.
But, you're I told that to my friend. He loved that. That was my move. Why are you sitting way over there? It worked a lot of times.
Is that how you got your wife?
No, my wife used to do comedy.
Well, so I snooped her Instagram, and she's funny too.
Oh, yeah.
What is two comics in one house?
Well, it's funny most of the time. We have 2 kids now. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Okay.
So, it gets stressful.
Yeah. I had 3 kids today. I normally have 1. And I was like, this is why people don't gentle parent.
Yeah.
You can't. When you get outnumbered, your brain literally explodes.
No, we're stressed. I yelled at my son the other day. He's 2.
Yeah.
And then I asked my wife, you mad at me? And she was like, why? I go, because I yelled at, our son. And she goes, I yell at the kids all the time. She goes, I think I've ruined my relationship with our daughter for yelling at her. But it's you don't mean to yell, but you're it's what else do you do? It's you can give a spanking, which, we do that. We're not into it. We don't like it.
Yeah.
But we do it because it's I don't know, I feel like there's yelling and then there's spanking. What else is there? The go sit in the corner thing, it doesn't work for us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had 3 today, and I was literally love all of them. They're great kids, amazing. But all together, my brain was fully exploding, and I was like, "You do what I say because I said it." Yeah. I didn't really say that, but in my head, I was
my son's at the table the other day. He's eating. He has this piece of watermelon. He throws it on the floor, and we go, "Don't throw your food on the floor." And then he makes eye contact with us and throws more food on the floor. And it's what do? You can't let the kid run you.
I know. So I have an only child. So an only child, there is a caveat, because you can kind of go over and you can be like, hey, don't do that, because, and you have the patience to explain, and there's no other kid to feel it on. So I feel like I've been able to talk better with her, but like I
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
you can do it when you have more than one kid.
Yeah, I found if you give one spanking and the other kid sees, then you can ride that out for a while.
Because there's a fear factor.
You can go, hey, we're doing spankings
We do
again.
this.
We're doing spankings again.
They're not outruled. They're not
Yeah.
out. They're still here. They
then
have
you-
not left.
Yeah, and then you rotate them so you don't have to do it a lot. And you don't want, it's like, it's a quick thing. It's only to inflict the slightest amount of pain just to go, hey, your bad behavior you associate that with this pain. And you go, well, I don't want that. So maybe I'll listen to what my dad says.
I know. It only sent me to therapy for my whole adult life, but I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, well, I don't think I got spanked
Just
enough. And, I could probably use therapy too. That's what my wife tells me. Anyway.
You don't do therapy?
Oh, no.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. I don't want a stranger to know all my problems.
Well, who knows all your problems?
I don't know. Unless I turn them into jokes, no one.
Is that how
I guess.
your outlet?
Yeah, I think
Do you
so.
just keep it all inside?
I think so.
Have you started at your
Sometimes
beginning
I'll-
of the beginning childhood trauma?
Well, I think I try to deal with it on my own. Yeah.
Okay, because you make it into jokes. So your jokes are funny though. You talk about
Yeah.
and also we'll get back to your wife because I sidetrack. I'm so excited to talk to you, Dusty. I like splatter my thoughts, but I want to know about your wife. But we're gonna come back. But you were born in a trailer park and you grew up with a lot of cigarette smoke. I know that
Yeah.
because you love a cigarette.
I do. I don't smoke anymore. I do smoke cigars, even though I'm
Okay.
on a 2-week break. I think I'm going to
Why
break
are you
it.
on a break?
Well, I don't know. I do it too much, and I think it.
Are you trying to break up with things? That's what my husband says. He's like, I'm just trying to find something else to break up with.
Yeah, I don't know. I love cigars, but I feel like I just was doing it too much.
Mm.
Like it's like I can go like, all right, I only do it after shows, so I'll do it 2 or 3 times a week, and then it becomes slowly every night of the week, and then I start slipping in daytime cigars, and then I gotta scale it back. I gotta go. Let's take a break and let's get back to only after comedy shows. And I
Okay.
have a show tonight, so I think I'll probably end up breaking the cigar thing
Where's your show?
at Zany's.
Is there anywhere else to do shows but Zany's in Nashville?
There are other shows, but Zany's is the only club
Okay.
and the best club.
And your face is on the wall.
It is, yeah.
That feels good.
Zany's has 2 clubs now, side by side. So we have 2 rooms. And then I also do comedy at the Opry. And then
Like
once in a
40
while-
times.
Yeah. I probably about that many times, yeah.
Do you have to scale back your jokes at the Opry to make sure they're like blue haired friendly? Because there's going to be a bunch of older people at the Opry.
Yeah,
and
I mean, there's certain jokes I won't do, but the Opry's cool with me. They like me, and I'll just go.
can you
"Hey."
push it a little bit? Because
Well-
there's such a respect thing with the Opry.
Well,
you know?
I'm pretty clean as it is.
I like that about you.
But I'll ask them. I had a joke where I was talking about the, Brooks and Dunn song. I don't know. I've been done Working Man.
Mhm.
What's it called? Working Man? I don't know. I forget. Hardworking Man.
Hard working man.
It's on my special that's coming out July 29th.
On Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah.
Is this your second one?
Yeah.
You're so cool.
Yeah,
I mean, a
thank you.
Netflix special, that's a big deal. Like
I
the
know.
whole world can watch it if they want to.
I know.
You're just like on everyone's TV.
I know. It's pretty amazing. I feel like I don't mean it's amazing like, look at what I've done. I mean it's amazing like, I can't believe it's happening.
A lot of comics don't get a special.
Yeah,
So, but you've gotten 2.
that's true.
So you're very good. You're
yeah,
very
and
funny.
I funded these specials myself, right? The first one was really a big deal because I was like, it cost a lot to have people come and film things.
Do you know that it's going to make it to Netflix when you do it?
No, I had either special I didn't know.
So you're
it's-
just hoping that
Yeah.
it's going to make it to Netflix.
And then it's like you might end up on YouTube, which is fine. I have stuff on YouTube that does very well, but the
It's not
amount
Netflix.
the amount of money that it takes to film these things.
like how much money?
Well, I don't even want to say. But
Okay, a lot.
yeah, it's too much. I mean, I don't know. You're
But worth it when
Yeah.
it makes it a good gamble, but you got to gamble.
right. It is worth it when it makes it. But if it goes to YouTube, it's like, I don't know. You could make the money back, but it would need a lot of views.
Do you feel like you get much more famous every time you have a special on?
I don't know. Well, this is my second one. So I did go from clubs to theaters with the first one.
That feels nice.
So now I'm trying to get to like 2,000 seat theaters. That's the
This
goal.
is just like an artist
Yeah.
climb the same way.
Yeah. I mean, comedy and music are so much the same.
Yeah.
Except for I travel alone.
Is that depressing?
It's, I guess it can be, but it's also awesome. I mean, I don't have to hang out with a ton of people all the time.
Are you kind of an introvert?
I think so. I never thought of myself like that, but now that I do comedy and I get to go out and, do this comedy for hundreds of people, sometimes thousands, I want to not talk to people.
Yeah.
You know, and then I do a lot of podcasts and I like doing them, but yeah, I'm just talking all the time.
All the time. It's like exhausting, right?
And if I travel alone, I'll walk through the airport with headphones on. I just listen to music. It's great. But if I travel with someone, we're talking the whole time.
Right.
And then you never stop talking.
Right.
You talk and talk and talk, and then you get to the venue, and then you go do comedy, and then after you go have cigars.
And you can't be in a bad mood either. Like you have to be nice to people. Not that like I'm trying to be in a bad mood, but like people are like wanting you to talk, and they're wanting you to be funny, and they're wanting you to like engage with them all the time. And if you don't, then they're going to think you're an asshole.
Yeah, and I get recognized because I got a pretty recognizable look.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I like wearing a hat, right? So it's like I don't want to not wear a hat just because I don't want people to recognize me. But I used to, especially on Sundays, on the way home, I would take edibles and just relax and really
on the airplane.
Yeah, on the airplane, I'm walking through the airport and I'm just like, I'm just in the zone. But now people come up and talk to me, and I feel like I seem so stupid when people come up and talk to me because I'm all zoned out.
Are you on an edible still?
I still like to do them. I mean, I don't do them when I do comedy, but it's on the way home.
Have you ever done Comedy Stone?
No, maybe like an open mic.
Okay, you don't like it?
No.
Too risky?
It's just like you can't trust weed.
Oh, like what might happen?
Well, it's like one time you do weed and you're like, all fun and everything. You're like, oh, I'm having a good time here, and everybody's laughing, and you're like, I'm such a great mood. I feel good. And then another time you're like, I can't believe that I even do comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so insane. And weed's
you gotta be dependable.
Weed's so strong. It's like I was in Portland, Maine, and I bought some weed at a dispensary. I bought a pre-roll joint. I did one hit out on a park bench, and I was gonna smoke a cigar, and I was so high out there. I was like, I don't need to be outside. I don't think I could smoke this cigar, but I don't need to go in my hotel room and be alone right now. I need something. And then my wife called, and I was like, oh, good.
She knew.
She
could feel it.
Yeah, I think so. Because I tell my wife, I go, oh, yeah, I thought I was having a heart attack in the hotel last night. And then she goes, were you on edibles? I go, yeah. And she goes, oh, okay. Well, and then she's not worried about it.
Right.
Stuff happens to me with edibles.
But you keep going.
I know. I don't know why I was convinced. I had like a pain, like a pressure right here, and I convinced myself my gallbladder was going to explode.
Why gallbladder?
I don't know.
Your gallbladder
I don't
is?
even know what this is. I don't even know.
Feels more like your mid chest.
Yeah.
I think your gallbladder's a little lower, but okay, gallbladder.
And I was in LA. I was doing the Netflix is a Joke comedy festival.
Okay.
And I had a night off, so I just did a little edible.
Just a little.
Just was in my hotel room, but all the other people were staying at this hotel, and I was like, I felt trapped in there because I was like, I don't want to leave and then run into other people.
Have to talk.
Yeah.
So you don't like to be around people on an edible?
No, not really. Just my friends.
Okay.
But I was like, I'm afraid I'll run into somebody and they'll go, hey, do you want to come do this podcast? So I was like, I got to stay in here. Yeah. But I was like, am I going to go to the emergency room in LA?
So you're one of those cases that thinks they're dying by weed?
Sometimes.
Okay.
And then I started like burping.
Did that help?
And then it started to feel better, and I was like, oh, good.
We're on the up and up.
Yeah. It's so insane. But the Opry, I was going to say.
Yes.
There was a joke where I wanted to say prostitute, right? So I asked them at the Opry, I go, can I say prostitute?
Can we hear the joke?
Well, it's a longer joke, but
okay.
I just talk about the Hardworking Man song by Brooks and Dunn, where he's...
Steel Hard Hat.
Or a Steel Hard Hat, yeah. And then I just kind of break that song down.
Yeah.
But basically, in the song, he's kind of telling you that he works so hard, but yet he can't understand where all his money's going.
Right.
And then he says, come Friday night, I like to party hard. I like to carry on with the Cadillac Cuties, spend my whole week's pay on some weekend beauty. And I'm like,
does that mean prostitute?
Well, I don't know. I was
like, never knew that.
Right there. You're spending everything you make in one night on some sort of a prostitute here. And that it's a longer joke.
Did it go over well?
It was great. The Opry loves things to be a touch dirty.
Okay, a little.
Yeah.
How do you have your meter? Because I'm going to tell you something, Dusty. I don't like the heavy meter of vulgar. Like if someone is too vulgar, I went and saw somebody, I don't even know who it was, a big comedian, because we were like at a big venue. And I was just like, everything was like making fun of someone or super vulgar or incredibly sexual. And I'm like, I am so uncomfortable, but I'm also like, I'm just not good at laughing at stuff like that. But people were dying.
I know. People,
but like, you are so funny. You, and I can never say his correct name, Nate Bargatze.
Nate Bargatze, yeah.
Bargatze.
Well, I've been told that I've been saying it wrong. Apparently it's Bargatze. I do a podcast with him, and I've been saying it wrong for years. Apparently it's Bargatze.
Bargatze.
Bargatze is how it's spelled.
Bargatze.
Yeah.
But you two run together, and I love y'all's style. And you're not
Nate's
the same.
very clean.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I feel like I get a little dirtier, but I always describe it like you're like the edgy guy in church.
Yeah.
Right. It's not so bad that they're like, I don't want that guy around anymore.
But you like rode up on a motorcycle and you were smoking a cigarette on the way in.
Yeah, and you're saying the stuff
totally
that nobody else will say, but it's not too far.
But everyone's definitely thinking it.
You're making fun of grandma a little bit,
but everyone
she's
knows.
Still laughing. Yeah.
Okay, so if vulgar is 10 and then like nothing is 0, where are you?
I don't know, maybe a 3.
I like that about you though.
Yeah, I don't like doing that. I got some jokes that are a little dirtier here and there. I got some jokes I'm working on now where I'm like making fun of all these, it feels like all these stores and stuff are like Dick's Sporting Goods. It's like, why are we calling it
That's
Dick's?
actually, no, I'm with you. There's more stores like that too.
Yeah.
You probably know them.
Well, there's BJ's.
Yes.
There's a lot of initials, guys.
Yes.
And there's, out in Myrtle Beach, they love to name the restaurants. There's Dick's Last Resort. And then a Crab Shack loves to play into crabs. There was a place, I'm not making this up. This is North Myrtle Beach. This is a restaurant right off. It's called Dirty Dick's Crab House.
Stop it.
And I'm like, geez, guys, let's relax a little bit.
Yeah. No, see, that's funny. That's very funny.
And so it's like a little dirty because I'm saying all these things.
Right.
But like there's other stuff where like these like kind of like American Mexican restaurants, they love to like play like, like they're like, what do they say? Like suck the tequila, suck the lime, I don't know. It's like suck and lick and I'm like, guys, there's kids in here.
I know, right?
It's like we can drink and eat, tacos without all this.
I agree with you.
And like the host was wearing this shirt. It was like, I forget the whole thing, but it was like suck, lick, and blow. But it was like those words were real big.
And then
the little font was like tequila, lime, salt. And it's like, okay.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like at least Hooters back in the day. Hooters was like, you knew what Hooters was, right? They weren't pretending to be something else.
Right.
They were like, this is what's going on in here.
I mean, they named it Hooters for boobs, right?
Yeah.
It's that obvious, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they try to put an owl in the logo,
right?
But we know what's going on.
Right.
They got a calendar. They're really putting it out there. This is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't trying to lure the kids in.
No. Yeah.
I went as a kid, of course, but I grew up in a trailer. My mom was a big fan of Alan Kulwicki, the NASCAR driver that drove the Hooters car.
Did that shape your life growing up, going to Hooters all the time and living in a trailer with people? Like,
oh, well.
What that just let you know? Because you said you used to tell adult jokes all the time and people would laugh at you and you didn't know what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, there was a joke. I mean, I did Tracy Lawrence's podcast, and I told some of this joke, but it's like, yeah, there was a joke that you would tell, and it was like, there's like a kid, he took a shower with his mom, and he was like, looked up, and he goes, what are those? And she's like, them are my headlights. And then he's like, what's that? She goes, them are my gates. And then he took a shower with his dad, and he's like, what is that? And he goes, that's my Z28, And then like the mom's in bed one night, and the dad's coming in, and the kid goes, better turn on your headlights, better open your gates, because here comes daddy with a Z28, right? And that's a stupid joke. Right?
That's terrible.
But I'm a little kid, and my older cousins told me this joke.
Yeah.
And I used to tell this to people all the time.
Yeah.
And adults loved it.
Yeah.
They would go, you shouldn't be telling stuff like that. But right after they got done laughing.
So did you always know you were funny? Is that what started it?
I don't know. I think I was around funny people. My mom's funny. My dad's funny.
You like your parents?
I like them. They're not married, but I do like them.
That's good.
Yeah, I like them. We get along. I mean, I fight with my dad a bit, but we get along.
Okay.
We're very similar, I think, so we can't be around each other too long.
Yeah.
because if anything comes up that we disagree on, neither will budge.
Really? So y'all are both real stubborn.
Yeah, but I feel like
Is it like a silent contest?
I feel
or
like
y'all-
I'm always right when it comes to these
I'm
things.
sure you
and
are.
I think my dad thinks he's always right.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I always go, I don't want to argue with you, but...
Do you get like
you're-
hot inside and standoffish?
Yeah, I mean, we yelled at each other on Christmas, not
Oh.
long ago.
Okay.
So, and then we got some family photos that we took, and we did that right after we got done yelling at each other.
How'd those look?
They look good, but I mean, almost every family picture, a fight has gone down with someone right before it's taken.
That's the magic of a family photo.
Yeah.
If you really actually knew what was going on behind that picture at
yeah.
every family photo.
We took one at the Waffle House in Hermitage. We all went and ate, and then we forgot to get a photo. So my dad was like, well, let's find somebody to get a photo.
That's a good spot.
And then we couldn't find anyone. And then we finally found a guy, but we fought in between.
You and your dad, y'all fought at the Waffle House?
Yeah, everybody was fighting. We were outside. We actually found a nice spot that was kind of on some limestone.
Okay.
So you don't really know it's in a Waffle
Too
House
bad.
parking lot. Yeah.
That might have been cooler.
That would have been cooler probably.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah. But so there's a lot of family photos where,
Everyone's pissed.
we all know how to smile.
Yeah.
So we throw it up. And actually, I don't even know if we're that mad. We're just,
Is it just like a habit? It's just y'all's thing?
I think so.
Like it's just how y'all communicate and show love? Because you can't get mad at somebody if you don't love them.
I guess that's
So
true.
maybe that's just y'all saying
Maybe
I love
that
you.
is it. That's our thing.
That's how
our
you
thing.
say I love you, Dad.
Yeah. And then, and so I get along with all my family. I think a lot of my family liked it better when I drank because
Okay.
I was more fun.
You were
I
a
think.
fun drunk.
Yeah, I was loose.
Okay.
Now I'm more serious
Okay.
than I used to be when I was drinking all the time. I was
How have you found an outlet? Like, did you feel like you had to find your personality again? Was it like what was the transition period like?
Yeah, people say this, that if you get wasted all the time, that you stop maturing.
I believe that.
And then when you get sober, you like rapidly mature.
Because you have so much that's just like catching up at lightning speed.
Yeah. And I started drinking probably 17, which is really late for a kid in Alabama in a trailer park.
Yeah.
So I held out. But, at 21, though, I really got into it.
Okay.
Because I always looked real young, so I couldn't get into bars. I never wanted to sneak into a bar. But we would drink. But once I had the access to the bar, I was like, this is great. This is what I've been missing.
Uh-huh.
Just going to a place where people were at, and you're just hanging, you're just drinking,
Getting
having a good
loose,
time.
being fun.
Yeah, I blacked out. I was a blackout drinker.
Okay.
So I would be in the bar. I would make friends with everybody in there.
You didn't know you were making friends?
No. This is what would happen to me.
Okay,
I would
okay.
make friends with everybody. We'd have a good time. Everything's great. And then I would go one shot too far.
It's always that last shot.
And then my eyes would get all glossy, and it would be like that. You could make eye contact with me, but there's a emptiness in there.
Uh-huh.
I think it's referred to as hollow-eyed in country music.
Okay.
And that's when, and then suddenly I would lose all those friends that I just made. I would get mad at people, and there was a real darkness in there.
Yeah. Okay. But why'd you stop? Did you figure out why you were getting to
Well,
that
I
darkness?
just started to feel real bad. I
Yeah.
was gaining a lot of weight because I was eating real bad all the
Mhm.
time, and I just felt bad, and I wanted to like take a break.
Yeah.
And then I just started feeling so good that I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? And then I remember, it's so far in the past now, but I remember, when I hit a month of no drinking, I was like, oh man, this is pretty great. And then I hit 2 months, which I had never done. I had taken a month break here and there. I
Mhm.
wrecked a car one time and took a month off.
Uh-huh.
I got beat up real bad one time and took a month off.
Okay. Oh gosh, beat up.
Yeah, but it was fine. I was, I was a real mouth. I should have been killed because I was so mouthy. I
Okay.
would get.
So you get a little feisty.
I would get myself in all kind of situations. But I'm a good talker, so I think most times I was a talker enough to make someone not want to fight because
Okay.
they were. I think maybe they were unsure
Okay.
about what would happen.
Okay.
But I got jumped by a few guys. I was probably 22 or 23.
So you're just letting it fly.
Yeah, but I got both my eyes were swollen shut, but I never bled, and there was no broken bones, and so I felt pretty good about it.
That's a pretty solid, honestly.
I think so.
Pretty strong.
No scars.
Yeah.
I was
and
like, I
look
got
at
beat
you
up.
now.
Yeah, I was like, I got beat up, but it's not a big deal.
Okay.
I used to have pictures, but I had them on a hard drive, and the hard drive broke.
So now they're gone.
And I think maybe it's good. I think I had that whole phase of my life in a hard drive, and it's locked away.
Can you believe that?
I know. It's pretty wild.
So have you been in a new phase since? Did you like reinvent yourself, or like what happened when you decided to close that chapter?
Well, when I was already doing comedy, but when I quit drinking at 29, but I was almost 30. So basically my 20s, I drank the whole time.
So you only drank for like a little, like 10 years.
It was like 10 years, yeah.
Okay. You got all you needed.
Yeah, I mean, I drank enough. I mean, I lived in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know if you've been, but it's a beautiful place. I lived on the beach for a while. I lived downtown. It's just like, day drink. I love to day drink.
Mm-hmm.
I love to go out to happy hour with the window open and a sea breeze blowing in while
it's so romantic sounding.
Yeah, while I'm eating shrimp cocktails
and
hot wings and raw oysters and drinking margarita. It's just
it's good.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then wrecking my bike on the way home or something like that,
Yeah.
in front of some tourists just trying to enjoy their life.
Yeah.
Here's some guy in his work uniform with a bunch of cocktail sauce spilled on it, that sort of stuff, because I worked at a seafood restaurant for a while. And so a place called Hyman Seafood is what it was called. And, but I worked there for a long time. It's great. They got my picture on the wall in there.
You got your picture on your wall in a lot of places.
Yeah. I encourage it.
Does it make you feel like you kind of like have ownership in that place?
Yeah. It feels good to know that people
love you.
Like, yeah. I went to my hometown of Opelika, Alabama. This past year I was the grand marshal of the Christmas parade.
Okay.
And I got a key to the city.
Nice.
So that's exciting.
Are you feeling good?
Yeah, it feels great. Yeah, because even some of my high school friends saw me at the parade and they were like so surprised. They were like, not that I'm doing well, but they were like, did you ever think you would be getting this? Because, I was getting into some stuff.
So you could have gone a lot of different directions.
Oh, so, it's wild how you can look at your life and just go, man, this could have gone a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Even just like a regular way, like I was a pesticide salesman and I was doing that.
Oh, yeah, I saw you talk about that.
Yeah, I had a salaried position. I always make fun of the job, but I had a salary and I had a car allowance and
heck yeah.
Yeah, so it was
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a good job.
Yeah.
And I could have just did that.
Why'd you stop?
Well, I just, wanted to do other things.
You wanted to do comedy?
Yeah, I was already doing comedy, and I won a comedy contest in Charleston.
Okay. Were you just kind of trying it on, or were you kind of being professional at that time?
Well, no, it was just something to do.
Okay.
Right? It's a way to meet people. You go to a bar, you drink with your buddies, and then we all do comedy, and then you just keep drinking, and
then you kind of started getting good at it.
Yeah, and then I started getting good. Then I won a contest, and I was like, oh, maybe I could make something out of this. So I won a contest in late 2011, and then in January of 2012, I quit drinking. So, and then I got way better at comedy in that year. Way better, almost right away.
Why do you think?
I just think that I was more focused.
Uh-huh.
I had more time to do things. Because when you're drinking in a fun city, it doesn't even seem sad that you're doing this.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I can walk down to the bar. I can walk down to the bar alone into a bar filled with people I know.
Yeah.
And just we can drink and have a good time. In as everything I've described, or even there was a bar called Big John's, which was a dark, dingy bar where we used to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah,
inside. Even that, it was fun in there.
Yeah, I do.
They were doing karaoke
but you can't get stuck there. If you get stuck at Big John's, there comes a point where you got to phase out.
Yeah,
because you see the people who've been at Big John's too long, and you're like, eh.
And I was always, when I was drinking, I was always a little poetic. I like to, I would, this was before social media, and I would write in notebooks. I'd write jokes, but then sometimes if I got too drunk, I would write little poems, or I would write messages to myself to remember to be mad at certain people.
Do not forget.
But I wrote on the bathroom in Big John's because everybody wrote on the bathroom in Big John's. And I remember writing, "Here I am again, like I said I wouldn't be."
Oh, that's a great song title.
Yeah. So,
have you given that to any of your songwriter friends?
No. It's none of the songwriter people take my ideas.
I'm going to tell my husband when he comes up
Yeah.
here and y'all can write it together.
Okay, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yes, you should.
But so every time I would be in Big John's and I would be drunk, I would pass by that thing that I had written on the wall and go, oh, jeez, here I am again in here.
Oh, so there came a point you're like, okay, I'm done
Yeah.
being in Big John's.
Yeah. I mean, everything in general. It just like, I live downtown. So sometimes I would go I would drive out of downtown and I would go drink at these other bars. And then I would drive my car back to my apartment.
Already not good.
Yeah. Like drinking and driving in Charleston in the, early 2000s to mid 2000s. Everyone in the entire city was doing
So
it.
no one should be on the roads, really.
No, I mean, I don't know what it's like now because
Yeah.
Uber and Lyft
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
But back then, it's like, I tell people, like I tell my wife who grew up in Canada, how much I used to drink and drive, and it blows her mind.
Yeah.
But we would all go to the restaurant.
It's pretty awful. Can you believe it? Like back in the day?
I can't believe it at all.
I know. It's so like unbelievable because you're really not present at all driving a car.
No, we would, 10 of us would get off work at the restaurant. We would go to another restaurant. It would be midnight when we got out of there. So we would get drunk as fast as we could
Yeah.
and then all go get in our cars and drive home.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I know.
And that's just what we were doing
I
all the
know.
time.
Yeah.
But I had a bar right next to my house, so I would get real, wasted and then drive home and then stumble into this other bar and try to I don't know what I was trying to do, just trying to keep it going.
I know. Isn't it weird? Because then when you get out of it, I haven't drank in 3 years either, and it's like, what was I trying to do?
I know.
Because you're not like, what's the goal?
Yeah, and I didn't really use AA, but I had a friend one time who was in the program. He gave me the Big Blue Book,
Mm-hmm.
and I read that book, and and then I also went to a couple meetings with some other people later, and their slogan is one is too many and 1,000 isn't enough,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the case for me. I was I wasn't waking up in the morning drinking, but I was totally once I started,
Yeah.
it was on.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, I a couple of times I've I'd be at happy hour and we would go to brunch and we would do mimosas and then we would stay until it started to turn into, afternoon drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd do a shot of some whiskey and then go around to the side of the building and throw up and then come back in and keep going. I know, it's disgusting.
It's a different age. I was talking to Maddie, who's right here, and she's 25, and I was like, y'all's generation just knows better than ours did. Ours was let's get as drunk as possible because it's awesome. And they're like, oh my gosh, that is so unhealthy. It's like how how we used to kind of use cigarettes. We knew it was bad for us.
Yeah.
But it's now they know it's bad for them. For some reason, we didn't know. Or we didn't care.
Well, I don't think we cared. Also, they say that drinking is at an all-time low.
Yeah, because this new generation is smart.
I think they're smart, but also there's so much video now that nobody wants to be caught on video.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's what I
Oh,
think.
yeah, because nothing was documented back then.
Yeah,
You could go crazy. That's when rock stars were throwing TVs out of windows.
I know.
Can you imagine if someone did that now?
Yeah, it's like that. I think it's Joe Walsh has that song where he says, I live in hotels, tear out the walls. I have accountants pay for it all. It's like, nobody's doing that now.
Nobody. You would be canceled.
I clean up my hotel before I check out.
I do too. I like to make sure everything's in the spot. That's
I clean
nice.
up. I tip. I'm like, I can't, I feel bad.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it a wreck.
I can't imagine trashing a hotel.
Oh my God, right? I know. Okay, so tell me about your life now. How'd you meet your wife? She's from Canada. Y'all are both comedians.
We were both visiting New York City doing open mics.
Y'all are just in the city at the same time.
Yeah, she was visiting from Toronto. I was visiting from Charleston.
Okay.
And we were just doing open mics. And we met at this one open mic. And then, I think she was pretty unhappy with how her trip was going in the comedy world. And she was she told me, she was like, I was in, pardon my language, she said, I was in bitch mode. She was like, I was mad or whatever. And then she came up to me at this bar and she goes, hey, where's the sign up for the open mic?
Okay.
And then she heard me talk And she goes, oh, this guy's not from around here, you know? And so we just kind of hung out because I was like, I didn't know anyone either. And so we just kind of hung out. And then the rest of that week while she was in town, we just went around and did open mics together.
Okay. So that's fun. Y'all had that in common. You kind of maybe need to be married to someone who at least appreciates humor.
Yeah.
But gets better if they're good at it.
Yeah, and also just understands like the road kind of stuff that I'm gonna be, gone because she did comedy for a long time with me, and then she
You're
eventually,
a duo?
yeah, we would, she would open for me, and then because I already had a bunch of gigs, so she would just go with me, and she's really good at comedy, but she just eventually was like, I hate doing this.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want to do this.
No, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah,
It's brutal out there.
But at the time, I was like, I'm not really making enough money to support us both. And she was
it takes a while to make money in comedy, right?
Yes. Oh, a long time.
Like a long time. Same with being an artist.
Yeah.
Like a long time. People think you're all doing great, but really you're like barely getting enough to get to the next gig.
Yeah, it's like if you tell people I would tell people what I'm getting paid in comedy back then, and they would like act like I was getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Like, I was making all the wrong moves, and I'm like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This gig is paying me this much money, but I beg them to give me the gig.
Yeah.
Because you just need stage time. That's the only way you're going to get better, so you got to keep getting the gigs. You would drive, 10 hours to do a Friday and Saturday at a club for $270.
Right.
And then it's like, so
you're losing money.
I was able to support myself because my car was paid off, and I had an attic apartment in the West Side for $250 a month.
Score.
Yeah, it was tiny and not insulated well, so very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer.
But a place.
For
very cheap.
For very cheap. So I had virtually no expenses.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to do it. And then she moved down and she was on a work visa for entertainment. So she could only do entertainment gigs. She couldn't even get a regular job. So I was like, you got to keep doing it. And then the moment I was making enough money to support us both, I was like, you can quit now if you want to. And she quit and canceled gigs. She didn't like...
She was so done.
Yeah, it wasn't like... A lot of people quit comedy because they have no gigs.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, I got nothing going on. I'm just going to stop doing this. She quit and had to call people and go, hey, I'm not going to come do this gig.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what are y'all like at home? Like, how's your conversation? Like, how are y'all communicating? Because I feel like y'all would be a very fun couple to be around.
Yeah, we do have a fun time. I mean, we're both, pretty fired up people. We get, we can have some good fights.
Okay.
But
that's good to have a good fight. Do you have a fighting technique?
I don't know. I feel like we did for a while where we kind of would fake fight with each other.
Okay.
To like almost comedically, but we were able to express the things that were bothering us.
That's funny.
But I think we wore that out.
Okay.
And now I just think mainly it's just like we get stressed out, right? Because we don't have a lot of help. So, because I don't trust a lot of people. So it's really my fault that we don't have help. And none of our family lives around here. So it's like when I'm gone, it's my wife alone with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So she's stressed. And then when I get home, I'm tired, but she's like, well, I need some time on my own.
So here are the kids.
Yes. So we get stressed, and we love our kids. I want to be around my kids all the time.
Of course.
But she left to go to the grocery store today, and I'm yelling at the kids because they're in the garage destroying things.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm telling you, I've lost all sense of calmness today because I have these 3 kids who I love, like I said.
Yeah.
But like you walk in, one is dumping out a bag of rocks. The next one is cutting paper all over. The other one's drawing on the couch. And then they're coming up to you asking for a million things. Somebody's mad at somebody else. Somebody just pooped their pants. And it's literally like, oh my gosh, my brain has exploded. I don't have enough time to process it all. It's all happening too fast.
I know.
I think that's why parents lose their cool. And it's not about the kids is what I realized. It's about me, like calming my nervous system enough to respond calmly.
I know.
It's so hard.
Yeah, that's what, we talked about spanking, and that's what, with that, it's like you never can, this is what they say, and I believe this. You don't spank in that mode when you're in like, I'm frazzled mode. You have to, it's like, all right, you have to almost like talk to them and go, this is why we're doing this right now. There's a reason why this is happening. If you do it in just freak out mode, then nobody knows what's going on. It just seems like you're beating your kids and nobody knows what's happening. And that's no good. But I go out in the garage. My kids are crying. I go, what's happened? I go out and they're both trying to get into this stroller and they're both stuck in there. And I'm like, why are you doing this? You don't even want to be in this stroller when I ask you to get in it.
Right. Yeah. It's because one of them wants it.
Yeah.
I know. It's really something. It's
Yeah.
really great. It's amazing. But it's like, it really pushes you. It really shows you how far you can go, which is great.
I do think, I mean, I'm 43. I didn't have a kid till I was almost 40. So I basically have this, my period, my decades, right? My 20s, I was an alcoholic.
Okay.
I don't like to say alcoholic because I just drank a lot.
You just drank a lot.
Right. And then 30s, I was learning to become a comic and smoking a lot of weed. And then in my 40s, I'm like, this is my dad decade.
I love the chapters.
Yeah, it's my dad decade.
Have they all helped and build upon each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think having kids, and I never thought that. I never wanted to have kids. I always feel like, not that I don't like kids, I love
Right.
them, but I felt like, the world's exploding. I mean, in my mind, the world's been about to end for the last 15 years.
I mean, right?
So I was like, I don't want to bring kids into the world. But the moment I did it, I was like, oh, what was I thinking? Like kids, it takes you to a next level of adulthood. And
It does.
And I think you have to do it.
What have you learned about yourself?
I mean, you mean as like a dad?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a hard question. I feel like a lot of things, but I've just I don't know. I've learned that I don't know. Maybe I don't have the patience that I once thought I had. I don't know. I do think I'm pretty patient.
What has it taught you?
I don't know. But it's taught me that I needed to do this.
I feel that it took, because what you're saying, it did take me somewhere that I've had to what it's done for me is it's shown me all my edges. Like I have seen all of my edges and I'm like, ooh, I need to round that one off a little bit, or ooh, that one's a little spicy, or but then it's also showed me how much I can love. Like I didn't know how. Of course I love my husband, of course I love my family, but like I didn't know I could love this much. Because I've never loved anything until like it physically hurt me before, until I had kids, and it like physically hurts,
That's good. I feel like that's true. It's like now when I'm on a plane and somebody else's kids are crying, I'm not mad about it. I feel sorry for the kids.
Yeah.
I almost want to help.
Because they're distressed.
Yeah, I almost want to go, let me hold them for a minute.
Yeah.
Let me see what I can do.
Yes.
Because I feel bad. I feel like that when you don't have kids, you just think, oh, what's going on with these kids? Make the kids be quiet. But when you're an adult, like with kids, you're like, well, that you can't make the kid be quiet.
Yeah.
And maybe, my ears, I have real bad problems with my ears. I'm flying all the time. Almost every time I have to do this thing where I pop my ears. Yeah. Almost every flight. Or it builds up so bad that it gets really painful. I don't know what's going on with it, but that's what happens.
Okay.
So I always think, well, maybe that's what's going on with the kid.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to blow their ears out.
Yeah, totally.
And also, I like kids better in general. When I see kids out, I like them better now.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I made a joke about this on my my Working Man special.
Okay.
And this seems morbid.
How did it go?
Well, I just would always like if I were on a plane before and I felt like the plane was going down, I was like, well, I don't want to die, but, so be it, right? Who cares, right? But now that I have kids, I'm like, no, I gotta live now.
I know. You have to.
I gotta be there for them. Mm-hmm. What's gonna happen if I die?
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta live.
You can't, you have to.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a little bit more, you're just kind of like, well, okay, sarah, when it's just you.
Yeah.
But then when it's, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like I'm at peace with it if I die.
That's a good place to be, though.
It is. But I'm Christian. I feel like if I die, I go to heaven. And I'm like, why would I want to be on earth where things are bad if I could go to a different place? But now that I have kids, I'm like, well, I got a responsibility. I can't just escape to paradise while they're in here. I brought these kids in and I gotta be here to, protect these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I've also learned that sort of stuff too, that it's like, I gotta, there's things you gotta do to protect kids. You can't, I don't know. I just feel like when I was growing up in the 90s, it was a little 80s and 90s, a little different.
The 80s were something.
Yeah. you could just I would leave.
Parents would just send you outside all day.
I would ride, before I got four-wheelers when I was younger, we would ride bikes
everywhere.
We would ride bikes down to the river. There was what was the river? The Tallapoosa River in Alabama.
And no one knew.
We would go down there and swim in the river as little kids. And then
nobody
ride our
knew
bikes
where
home.
you were, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Swimming in the river with no adult supervision.
Yeah.
So many things could happen.
As little kids.
Yeah.
And then when we were older, we got four-wheelers, and then we would just do the same thing with the four-wheelers. I grew up in the trailer park, and we had woods on either side. We would just disappear.
And they're not worried that you're going to get hit by a car or, lost in the woods or drown in a river.
My mom worked third shift. She came home and went to sleep.
Yeah, they just knew it was going to be okay.
She was happy that I was out of the house so she could sleep.
I know.
And then my mom would go to work. I mean, when I was a little kid, I had somebody with me. But as I got, I was alone at night way too young.
Yeah. It's a different time.
I got, how collect calls used to, my sister, we lived in one trailer, and then my sister and her husband lived in the trailer next door.
Okay. That's kind of fun.
Not always, but for a little while. Yeah, because we had our own little yard there.
Okay.
Because, you'd share the yard in a trailer.
Yeah.
Trailer park. So we had our own little shared yard.
I love that.
Which was nice. But collect calls used to be like, you would get a call to the landline and it would say, you have an AT&T collect call from, and then it would be the person's voice, and they would say, oh, Jerry, and then you could accept or not. One night I got a call. My mom's at work. I'm alone. I wake up. I answer, and it says, you have a collect call from, I know where you live. You're dead.
Stop.
Yeah. And so I freak out and I run to my sister's house, and I stayed at my sister's house for a long time, but they smoked cigarettes inside. So I would go to school smelling like smoke. It'd be real smoky. So I was just like, you know what? I'll just risk it back at the house.
Did you ever find out who it was?
No, but we had phone books back then, which is also a wild concept.
Can you believe it?
That you would just have your name and home address
and number in a book.
Yeah.
For everyone to have.
So it was
so true.
It was just my mom's name in there. And so we called the cops, and because there was a voicemail, but the voicemail was just like clearly a reference to it, just because it, like, the whole time the voicemail's going, it's going the collect call, so you don't pick it all up, and then you just get to the message and you hear that same voice go, your titties, so it's like, it's clearly just some creep trying to, who knows, maybe it was one of my mom's ex-boyfriends, I don't know, but it was like, I don't know, freaked us out.
And just like, though, it was just a different time of life, like all that went down. I talk to my daughter about the 80s all the time, and she's always telling me, she's like, that was different though, because it was the 80s. I'm like, it was a totally different time in the 80s.
Yeah, and I think about it all the time, and I think how much better it was. Mm-hmm. But I've kept journals at various times in my life, not always, but I had like a journal from the late 90s, early 2000s, where I would periodically write. And I'm like, I was reading some of that stuff the other day, and I was like, oh, I was not happy back then. I remember it like, oh, it was just
nostalgia.
A blast. Yeah, but I read that and I go, nah, it's better now.
You're angsty. Yeah.
I think social media, as bad as I don't like it, as much as I don't like it, I think there's so many good things that, like, I don't know, it keeps you from being lonely.
Yeah.
Which I think is good and bad, right? Because I think loneliness helps you be creative.
That's a good point.
So when you're never lonely, you're like, oh, if I'm, like, if I had to go to the DMV or something and wait, I would take a book.
Yeah.
And I would just read a book.
Mm-hmm.
And now I go to the DMV, I go, I just got my phone.
And you can just sit on it for hours.
Yeah, I'll just veg out in here.
Yeah.
But I used to, I read, when I sold pesticides, I would my boss lived 4 hours away in Atlanta, so I was off on my own. So I would go in, I would do my work in the store, but the rule was you never wanted them to know how fast you could get the job.
You want to do it as slow as possible, right?
Yeah. So you would do the work, and then I would go sit in the car and smoke cigarettes and read books. And I read The Shining, which is a book like this.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't read a lot of books, but I just had all this free time.
Yeah.
But the moment I got a smartphone at that job,
the book's gone.
The book's gone.
Okay, so when you are on stage, and people probably ask you this all the time, but this would be my absolute biggest fear. Like I've said this so many times. Being a comedian would be like my worst nightmare. Like for me personally, because the thought of all the pressure of having to make people laugh, because like, have you ever stood up there and it just is bombing? Because I know you succeed because you're hilarious. Like people are dying laughing at you, but have you ever had a moment that's like, oh my God, abort ship?
Yeah. I mean, many, many times.
How do you survive it?
Well, it's like now, it's like coming up in comedy, you're like, you're figuring out your jokes. So you will bomb sometimes. And then when you're an opening act, it's like a lot of times either you're performing for an audience that has no idea what comics are going to be there, or they're just there for the headliner.
Mm-hmm.
So, you just may not be the comic for them. But now, it's my audience that comes to shows. So I don't really have it at my shows, thankfully. I mean, because they're there for me. I have some shows that go better than others, but no bombs. But now what happens is I'll do like a corporate gig where a company hires me, and the boss that's hired me is a huge fan. But I'm performing for an audience of people that is either either they don't care about comedy,
mm-hmm.
or they've been listening to speakers all day, and so even though I'm there telling jokes, I'm still just another guy talking.
Yep.
But they're just not into it.
Okay.
So in that situation, you just have to rely on the fact that you're like, all right, I know I'm funny. I know these jokes work.
I know my worth.
And this is just this kind of show.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't have too many of those in a row, you're okay.
Okay.
You walk away from that. I've done some corporate gigs where they've paid me a lot of money, and I almost want to apologize to them at the end of the night. But it's not my fault.
Because it's who you are.
Right?
And they
it's
don't.
like,
Yeah.
I came ready.
Yeah.
I did the joke. Because
Totally.
I have so many jokes because I have albums and specials. So I'm like, all right, if this joke's not working, I'll pivot to this joke.
Did you just have them memorized in your head?
Most of them, yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll go, all right, I'll do this joke. This joke always works. And if I do a joke that always works
and it doesn't work,
then I almost go, all right, I'm just going to do brand new jokes.
Good. A good place to try.
Because brand new jokes, you don't know what kind of reaction they're supposed to get. So any reaction is good.
Okay.
But an old joke where I go, I know they laugh here, here, and here, and then they don't laugh in those spots, then I feel bad about the joke. I go, is that even a good joke? But if I do new jokes and I get one laugh, I go, oh, okay, maybe there's something here.
Okay.
So that's how I handle it. But yeah, I don't have a lot of, sometimes I do the Opry, and we were talking about, just being older people. Sometimes the first joke or two doesn't really land with them.
Okay.
But I've done it enough times where like all the people in the backup band are like my friends now.
So they're laughing.
They're all cool. All the people off to the side, they're all cool. So even if it's not working, I know they're into it. I think they're into it if it's not working because I improv a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, you got that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've done some corporates where I'm like, geez,
this is brutal.
What's the deal out here?
Do you think that like you and Nate Bargatze, because all y'all's crew, like y'all, like you said, y'all are more clean humor. Y'all kind of stick together. Y'all are doing his podcast. Like y'all are very funny, but it's not like it's not this like vulgar, extreme humor in the past. I feel like comedians kind of were most of the time.
Yeah.
Do you think that people are craving this? Because I know I am. I am actually sitting there laughing at your special, and I'm like laughing at Nate's stuff because I'm like, I relate to this and I don't feel like awkward laughing at it.
Yeah, I think this has happened. I think like maybe early on, like people weren't allowed to say certain things, especially on TV. So these edgy comics were like suddenly like a new thing where you were like, oh,
I can't believe they're saying that.
Yeah. And then it's like over time, in order to be edgier, it has to just get worse and worse and worse, and to where you reach a place where it's like, it's so over the top that there's still an audience for that. I like there's a lot of comics that I like that are super edgy and dirty, as long as they're, creative and funny. I think it's really great. But, there's an audience of people that they don't want that. And I think people are not necessarily searching for super clean, although there is an audience for that. There's a lot of Nateland people now that listen. Not all of them. There's some of the people that listen to Nateland are like the greatest people. But some of them are like, if it's not ultra clean, they're like, what's happening?
Okay.
Right? I always say I don't do comedy for kids. I don't want kids to watch my comedy because I want to talk about weed and drinking and stuff like that. But yeah, like keep it within reason. It's like, because with comedy, if you don't know what you're going to see, you could see someone very nice. You could go see a Nate and go, oh, this was really fun and funny. Or you could hear the worst thing you've ever heard in your life.
It's so the spectrum is so big.
Yeah. I took my brother-in-law, who's not a prude, but he's a Christian guy. I took him to an open mic with me when I first moved to Nashville, and it blew his mind. I think he left there emotionally scarred.
Yeah.
Because he had never heard some of those things.
Yeah.
The way people talk, I mean, I'm pretty desensitized to it now because I've been around so much comedy. I think I have a theory that that's why more women don't do comedy because, you know, you have this open mic scene that you have to really go through to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think a lot of women are like, I don't need this in my life.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to do a different thing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to these guys, talk about what they're doing in their private bedrooms.
I know.
You know.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. I think it was so shock value in the first because people didn't talk about stuff. And now they talk about everything. And so now it's like, oh, my gosh, what a breath of fresh air to have some good humor that we can really laugh at. But it's not like.
Yeah, and there's
extreme.
a ton of clean comedy out there. There's a ton of clean comedy, but there's only a little of the clean comedy that's really good.
Yeah.
And
who would you say is in that group? Who do you run around with?
Well, I mean, we have a lot. I mean, Aaron and Brian, Aaron Weber, Brian Bates, who both do the podcast, very funny, very clean. I mean, we have now there are a handful of comics in Nashville that can do both. Like there's a guy, Zach Townsend, and a guy, Connor Larson. I take them on the road with me some, and they are clean for me.
Okay.
So if you saw them at my show, you would be like, oh, these are really funny, clean comics. And then if you saw them on a not clean show, you would be like, what happened?
So is that a thing, clean and not clean?
I think so, because you're coming up in comedy, as long as you can be clean, then you can open for anybody.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of comics, even dirty comics, want clean openers because they're like, the dirty is my thing. I don't want you to use up all the dirty jokes.
Oh, there's strategy here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with a clean comic, there's a couple of reasons you want clean openers if you're clean. One, I always say this. I always tell comics, like, if you're dirty and you bomb, great. That's going to be great for me. But if you're dirty and you crush, it's going to be kind of hard to follow you with jokes about the Home Depot. I can do it, but it's going to be harder. And it's my show. I don't want to work that hard.
I get it. Yeah, it makes sense.
But also, once you start to get an audience.
I could not even know this was thoughts. Yes.
But then once you have your own audience, well, your audience is coming because they like your kind of comedy.
Yeah. So then you bring someone else who fits into that.
Yeah. So you don't want to bring somebody that's going to
mess with the mojo.
Their day. Yeah.
Okay. So it really is like genres.
Yeah, there was a comic named Rich Voss, and he said this. He said, because he's out of New York, a very offensive comic. I opened for him one time at Zany's, and he really blew my mind in a good way. I thought he was very funny, and he offended these people, and they left. And he goes, people never research the comic they're going to see. They never look up to see what they're going to see. You would never go to see music and sit in the front row and go, I hope it's jazz. Right? So, so it's like, if you're going to go see someone that you don't know, watch a video.
Yeah, totally.
Because I have people that do that. Sometimes the audience might not be laughing in the beginning. I go, have you guys ever watched a video of me?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you watched any video of me, there's nothing that would lead you to believe I'm going to do anything different than what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
It doesn't happen to me much anymore, but I've not been at this level for a long time. I've been, slowly going up. So, for a long time I was headlining clubs.
Yeah.
Where some people were coming to see me, other people were just coming, and then other people would be free tickets that the club would give out. So I used to, I could bomb for 10 minutes and then finally have a joke that works. And I go, yeah, these are funny jokes, people. I go, get into it. I don't travel the country doing mediocre jokes out here. I almost hit them with that to be lighten up, guys.
Oh yeah.
We're just telling jokes here.
Okay. So we've already been talking an hour. I know you have a show tonight. I want to just ask you a question 2 questions. What would you tell someone who wants to get into comedy? Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you survive the grind to get to where you are?
Well, I would say, you need stage time. You need to be writing jokes. Don't, have an idea of what you're going to say when you get on stage. Don't go, I'm funny for my friends.
Oh, and just wing it.
I'm just going to wing it.
You got to have an outline.
Yeah, have an idea of what you want to say. Even if you're like, I'm just going to tell this story. Say the story out loud to yourself, just to know how you want it to go. Sometimes you think something's funny and you say it out loud and you go, nah, that's
not funny.
So you work it out and then get plenty of stage time, and then don't expect anything to happen for you for a long time.
Like a long time.
It may, but don't expect it.
Yeah.
People get into comedy and they just think, all right, I'm about to make it happen. I mean, there's a guy out there. I just saw a video the other day and he's like talking about follow me on my journey from, open mics to stadiums. And he's like just gotten into comedy. And I'm like, he's very good at editing videos and I applaud him for his,
confidence.
Yes. But it's like, dude, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And I think taking a long time is the way. Now, nowadays...
It lets you hone your skill.
Yeah. Nowadays, people can go viral and they can draw an audience pretty quick.
But can they continue to deliver?
Right. It's like taking a long time helps you become good. And then when you finally get the audience...
you're so broken in.
Yeah. There's a comic I know. She's very funny. She did it a different way. I'm talking about Chelsea Lynn, Trailer Park Tammy. You know her?
Oh, yeah.
We're friends. And I talked to her about this because she, for a long time worked social media and only social media. Now, she's better at that than me. So that's a skill all its own, right? But when she decided to go into comedy, stand-up comedy, she was immediately selling out theaters, right? Now, she worked, so I'm not taking anything away from her, but I think, to me, that's the most terrifying thing.
Right.
To already have this audience of people that's now coming to see you, and you've not really done a lot of stand-up
comedy. Now you have to go perform, so you have to get through the stage fright and all that.
But she's very funny, and she's doing it well.
Okay.
I just think that's a terrifying way.
Yeah.
The way I did it, I'm opening for people. I mean, I'm doing open mics with, I used to do Bobby's Idol Hour. You know that place?
Oh, yes.
There used to be a Monday open mic at Bobby's Idol Hour, and it would be like just comics and then like a handful of guys sitting at the bar.
Drinking, yeah.
So my gauge was always, if I can get one of those guys to turn around and listen to me, then this is a good joke.
Okay.
There was one old man that used to sit on the corner, pretty overweight, and if I could make that guy laugh, I was like, oh, that's a good joke.
That's the one.
Right, but it's like no one was seeing me bomb.
Yeah, exactly. It's a totally different era because,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. This is so the same as music. Kids are breaking on TikTok. They're waking up every day singing songs into the camera. They get a huge audience, and then all of a sudden they're selling out theaters, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, they have to learn how to perform.
Yeah.
It's just reverse. It's a totally reversed way now.
Yeah. And even Chelsea Lynn, her thing, like she worked, cause I did a couple of podcasts with her, and it's like, she had a long journey with social media, right? So she's been working it for a really long time. Some people hit, almost right away with social media and then develop this audience, and they've not worked anything.
Yeah.
And then they go to and people tell me about them. They go to these clubs and
it's not good.
people go, well, they sold a ton of tickets, but terrible show.
And one way or another, you got to be able to do it on the stage. You're so right. Okay. I always wrap up with leave your light, and it's just super open-ended. What do you want people to know? Just drop some inspiration.
I don't know.
Big wisdom here.
Well, this is sort of my thing. I love to talk about these sort of things, like how to, like life is good. You know what I mean? It's like you just got to work hard. I know there's this thing out there these days where people are saying, oh, the boomers are saying you got to, pull up your bootstraps and just get to work. And it's like, I know things are not exactly the same as they used to be, but it is still a thing. You got to work for whatever you want to do. It's like I was sitting out I was in Georgia somewhere, just kind of in the woods. Not it was Public Woods, and this guy comes up with a camera, and they go, if you could give a millennial or whatever age he is some advice, and I go, well, what are you trying to do? And he's like, oh, I want to do this kind of video content. Well, I'm like, well, just learn to be really good at this, because people are always looking for video people. People are always looking for content creators. So be really good at that. So whatever it is that you want to do, just be really good at it. You know, everybody wants to use AI now. I was very against AI for a long time. I'm not completely against it now, as long as you're not using AI to come up with your ideas for you.
But to enhance them.
Yeah, have your own ideas, you know, but anything you want to do, just work hard at it. I can't play guitar, but people always say that, you know, people go, oh, when you're in your, say you're 15, you want to play guitar, you're like, I wish I could play guitar, and then it takes 10 years to get really good at guitar, and then you go, oh, that's too long, and then by the time you're 25, you're still like, I wish I could play guitar.
Yeah.
And if you would have started at 15, you would be able to do it by now.
So just start and get good at it.
Yeah, and then at 25, you go, well, that's too late. But if you start at 25, by 35, you'll be able to play. And don't let people tell you can't do things. Just do the thing. But there also is this other thing where people are so like, they so get into this thing of like, I'm going to do it, and you know, I know I can do it, and like it's going to happen.
Like a manifesting it into existence so strongly.
Like this is going to happen for me. You know, I said, you know, I'm a Christian. I think a lot of Christians will do this sort of thing. And I know other people are doing it too, but they'll say, you know, God wants this for me, so he'll make it happen. And then they kind of like stop putting in the work because they just are like, well, God's going to do it. But it's like, maybe he will, but you need to do the work.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's just
absolutely.
I feel like there's just this thing where nobody wants to do the work. And I don't mean...
They just want to just show up.
Yeah. You don't have to do manual labor, but I know comics that are like, they've been given all these opportunities, and it's like, all you got to do now is really like work hard at stand-up.
Yeah.
But they just keep getting the opportunities, and they're not working hard at stand-up. It's like, nobody wants to go and feature for $270 a weekend.
But you got to.
But that's how you get good.
That's so true.
Nobody wants to stand in front of the audience of Bobby's Idol Hour of people that don't laugh at their jokes. But that's how you do it.
That's so true.
I used to try to open for my friends' bands, and that's always terrible. But it's like, if you need the stage time. I would do poetry open mics. I had a guy tell me at a poetry open mic, he goes, I'll let you do it. But I just want to tell you, this audience does not like when people do comedy here. But I just kind of felt the vibe of the room, and I go, all right, I'm just going to try to be poetic in a way with my jokes.
Yeah.
I'm going to be soft-spoken, and I'm going to tell the jokes. And these people started to really like me. And it's like, you just got to.
You just got to show up and do it.
Yeah, do the thing that you want to do.
I love that.
You know?
Dusty Slay, you're amazing. Okay, so you have two Netflix specials out now.
I have one out now called Working Man.
Okay, and then another one's coming out.
And in July 29th, I have one coming out called Wet Heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you on tour also?
I'm always on tour. I'm taking a little time off June and July, but the end of July, I'm getting back out it. And in the second half of the year, I'm all over the place.
And you're on Nateland podcast?
On Nateland podcast every Wednesday. And I have a podcast called the We're Having a Good Time podcast. It comes out every Thursday.
Okay.
So, and I'm on,
the
various podcasts. I'm with socials at Dusty Slay. And I'm very active on social media. And don't be fooled by... there's a lot of fake accounts now.
Okay, Dusty Slay all day, only
I have
one.
a blue check mark by all the things.
That's it.
And I do respond, but but sometimes people are fooled. The fake accounts go, "Hello, dear fan," and then people are fooled. I'm like, would
I ever speak to you like that?
Talk like, are you even a fan of me? You think I'm saying hello first,
right?
And then dear. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, guys.
Dusty Slay. Okay. Do you have like 10 more minutes?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to do a bonus episode, and we're going to draw some questions called Tell Me More. Okay. Dusty Slay, thank you so much for joining me. You are so funny. This was so awesome to get to talk to you. I'm very inspired by you. Being a comedian is no joke. And you're really good at it. That was awesome. I was so funny. I'm not funny at all. See,
that's a good one. That is good, though.
That's as basic as it gets, really.
I think the basic thing, I think people say that now, and I think basic's good. Basic's good. People,
Stick to the simple.
Yeah.
Okay,
People
Dusty
act
Slay.
like being normal is so bad now.
Being normal is actually, we're all trying to get back to it, right? I saw
Yeah.
you have a farm.
Yeah, I out in McMinnville. I have a little cabin and I have some land and
Living the good life.
yeah. I ride the 4-wheeler
Grow you
around
some
and the zero
vegetables.
turn. Yeah,
Yes.
I got a garden at my
I
house.
saw. Yeah. I love it, Dusty.
If I can keep my son from ripping all the green vegetables off,
You might
before
get a salad.
I might get a salad.
Yeah.
You know what? I did have a salad the other day.
From
I
your
had,
garden.
lettuce, kale, cucumbers, and
Tomatoes.
carrot,
Carrot.
all from the garden.
That felt good, I bet.
It did feel good.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dusty Slade,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. Okay. Bye.